Hi, much peace to you guys and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to speak about the fact that your higher self speaks to you based on the intuition that you're having. Okay, so it speaks to you through your intuition. And I've seen that in my own journey. I had moments where I lost connection with my own intuition. And really, I created a lot of troubles. And what I'm realizing is the fact that we gotta make a deeper relationship with this intuition. This intuition is actually divine. Okay, it is something that we must learn to be connected to. Now, your higher self is your most important spirit guide. It guides you through life. It is your consciousness. It is who you really are at a spiritual level. Okay, so the more that you connect to this consciousness, the more that you connect to this freedom, is the more that you're actually connected to your higher self. Okay, so realize that your higher self wouldn't break your free will. Okay, your higher self wouldn't break your free will. That is what the ego does. Okay, the ego is attached to certain things, to certain circumstances. But the more that you let go of what is no longer serving you, and the more that you are really following your own gut and your own intuition, is the more that you actually have the power to step into your higher nature and into your higher self. Okay, so realize that you are where you need to be, and there are tools for connecting to this higher consciousness, and one of the best tools is to accept your feelings. Okay, accept your feelings. Also accept your shadows, because you're not perfect as a human being. You're not perfect, and sometimes you go through challenges, sometimes you go through really rough experiences that teach you something. And what I'm realizing is the fact that we don't have to be perfect, even if our natural state is actually positivity. Okay, we don't have to always expect ourselves to be positive, because what I'm realizing is the fact that the negative is also a teacher. Okay, the negative is also a teacher. So step more into what you feel. That is how to contact your higher self. Step more into your own intuition. That is how to build and create the life that you want to experience. Okay, so be yourself. This is today's message. If you want to connect to your higher self, just be yourself. Okay, now guidance happens through our emotional field, and guidance is something that everybody on the planet actually has. Okay, so realize that you must follow your own guidance. Okay, I'm seeing in my own journey that it's so important to follow my soul purpose and my soul mission. Okay, that is how to connect to your higher self. That is how to really raise your consciousness into a new state. Follow your heart, follow your desires, follow your passions, and realize that you are actually guided in this process. Okay, so realize that you come here on the planet with a certain soul signature, and that is actually your higher self. Okay, your soul signature is your higher self. Now, the ego may try to resist this. Okay, the ego is actually comfortable. The ego is static. The ego is attached to certain things. But when you let go and when you really step into your body's consciousness, it's like you realize that you're actually not your ego, but you are far more than you think you are. Okay, you realize that you're actually divine. You realize that you come here with a mission, and you realize that you must follow your own intuition and your own bliss. Okay, and don't get me wrong, sometimes you also need to be low in order to learn to be high. Sometimes you need to be depressed in order to learn to be at peace. Okay, so it's all about the duality. Everything is actually dual. Everything has its own pole. Everything has its own frequency. And what I'm seeing in my own journey is the fact that the more that I'm raising my frequency, the more that I'm following my heart, is the more that I have the power to attain a balanced state. A state of consciousness that is actually serving me. a state of consciousness that is in alignment with who I want to be. And you don't really have to fight to attain this higher state of consciousness, because being in your spirit, being in your higher self takes no effort. Okay, it takes no energy. Being in your ego and in your lower nature takes a lot of energy. So realize that you must find the flow state, you must find the effortless state of consciousness. That is how to step into your higher self. Okay, find ease. Ease is important. And what I'm realizing is the fact that the more that we raise our consciousness, the more that we awaken our energies, is the more that we actually step into the flow state, into a higher way of being. And what I'm realizing is the fact that sometimes we need to forgive. Okay, sometimes we need to forgive. We need to let go of those who have wounded us, and we have to forgive them. It's not an easy process to go through, but you have to forgive and you have to go within. Okay, now your higher self doesn't break your free will, but it may ask you to do certain things. Okay, things that are in alignment with who you really are. Your higher self wants to evolve, wants you to evolve. Okay, your higher self wants you to be your best version. And what I'm seeing is the fact that whenever we're being disconnected from our feelings, we're also disconnected from our higher self. So step more into your own intuition. Step more into what you feel at an intuitive level. That is how to contact your higher self, through the intuition that you're having. Okay, so realize that you have to accept yourself, you have to love yourself, you have to embrace yourself fully, and really you must follow your own desires, your own heart, your own passions in order to connect to your higher self. Okay, and your higher self is actually a six-dimensional level of consciousness. Okay, it's a six-dimensional level of consciousness. And what I'm seeing in my own journey is the fact that there are levels to reality. Okay, and there are also levels to consciousness. Okay, so realize that the more that you go within and the more that you question the nature of life, is the more that you have the power to step into a higher dimension, maybe. Okay, into something that is more at ease, into a higher frequency, into something that is more connected to who you really are. Okay, so realize that yes, there are levels to reality, there are higher dimensions, there are higher planes of consciousness that you have the power to access when you are connecting to your higher self, through your higher nature, through something that makes your heart smile. Okay, it's so important to have a shift in consciousness. Okay, it's so important to get to evolve at a harmonious level. It's so important to make a deeper relationship with your higher nature and your higher self. And something else would be, don't be so dependent on trying to connect your higher self or your spirit guides. Okay, you don't have to be attached. You don't have to be attached. You have to follow your own intuition, and you have to follow also your human self. I've seen my own journey that the more that I try to maybe be superior, the more that I try to see others as not myself, was the moment that I was actually losing. So keeping your human nature is also important. Okay, keep your human nature. Find the balance between the physical and the non-physical. Okay, so also be three-dimensional if you feel like being three-dimensional, so physicality and non-physicality. Maybe you need both. Maybe you need both in order to find balance. Okay, so don't forget about your human self, because usually what happens when we are going through a spiritual awakening, it's like we want to be as gods. We want everybody to know that we have awakened, and maybe this is just spiritual ego. But when you evolve spiritually, when you mature spiritually, it's like you want to be human again. Okay, you want to maybe also feel pain sometimes. Maybe you want to have compassion, more compassion, So realize that there should be a balance between the physical and the non-physical world. Okay, so there should be a balance between your higher self, which is non-physical, with your human self, which may be physical. So find the balance. Okay, find the balance and really get to listen to your own intuition, because that is where the magic is happening. Okay. So yes, this was this message about the fact that your higher self communicates to you based on the intuition that you're having. Okay, based on the intuition that you're having. You are loved. Okay, you are loved by the divine. You are loved by higher consciousness. You are loved by the universe and maybe God, And really you have to love yourself. And don't forget to make the best call. Okay, don't forget to make the best call, the call that feels good in your body and in your heart. Thanks so much for watching, and if you're into my YouTube channel, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, and if you wish to work with me on a one-on-one level, feel free to contact me at my email address in the description below. And if you wish to order my book, Vibrational Alignment, feel free to access the link in the description below. You can actually order it on Amazon. Okay, so thanks so much for watching, and this was today's message about the fact that your higher self speaks to you based on the intuition that you're having. Thanks so much for watching, and like always, see you on what is coming up next. Much peace and see ya.